You might think HBO is secretly building a Game of Thrones cinematic universe behind the scenes, but according to Casey Bloys, that's not happening. And honestly, that might be the smartest decision they've made. So in a recent interview with Variety, HBO's head of content, Casey Bloys, addressed something fans have been wondering for a while. Why aren't there more Thrones spin-offs actually in production? Because let's be real, every few months we hear about another idea, another rumored show, another in-development project. So where are they? According to Bloys, HBO is very aware of the risk of oversaturation, and he basically said, yeah, they're not trying to flood the platform with a bunch of Thrones shows just because they can. Instead, they're taking what he calls a more prudent creative approach, which is honestly kind of refreshing when you look at what's happening across the rest of the TV shows right now. Here's the part that really stood out. Bloys pointed out when people talk about another Game of Thrones spinoff, that framing is actually misleading because in reality, there's only 2 shows, House of the Dragon and A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. That's it. Not 5, not 10, not some sprawling universe, just 2. And this is where things get a little messy. Bloys basically called out how the media, and honestly the fandom too, treats development like it's the same thing as production. It's not. Because a show is being written or pitched or even talked about internally doesn't mean it's actually happening. But once those ideas hit headlines, suddenly it feels like HBO has a dozen Thrones shows cooking at once, which in reality they don't. Because let's look at the alternative. We've seen what happens when franchises expand too fast. We get fatigue, we get inconsistent quality, and eventually people just stop caring. So Bloys is basically saying, we're not doing that. And honestly, good. So yeah, despite all the rumors, all the headlines, and all the in-development buzz, the Game of Thrones universe is still being handled pretty carefully. Just 2 shows, very intentional, no rush to build an empire. But now I'm curious, do you want more spin-offs, or do you think HBO is making the right call by holding back? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you want more updates on Game of Thrones, Dunk and Egg, and everything coming next, hit subscribe.